Hello, hello, hello. If you found this video, that means either the algorithm is merciful, or you're an FBE fan looking to draw your own character or make your own fan art. Now, I gotta warn you, this is not a definitive guide, but it'll definitely give you a good grip on what to expect. Enough witty banter. Let's get started.
Wow!
So, let's get the basics out of the way. This will be your fundamentals. We'll use a reference for better understanding. This is ABBIE, the one who gets shaboinked at the start of the basics in behavior animation. Let's analyze. Notice how there's barely any curved lines. This will be your foundation, jagged with occasional curves. Note that these curves apply to specific parts of the character, such as hair, sweat, tears, and her hairpiece. Another thing to note is the hands. They're a bit big, blocky, and they lack pinkies. Clothing is another thing. Notice how it's a bit bigger than her limbs. Note that if you're making a character, not all clothing has to be a bit loose. Look at her shoes. Notice how just one is a block while the other looks a bit like a wedge? Now look at her head. It's shaped a bit like an oval, and her eyes are overlapping her hair. She also lacks a neck, so... that's cool. That's all for the basics mostly, but now let's get into something a bit more advanced.
Give me something great.
We'll be using Miss Circle as an example here. Now that you know the basics, let's get into some of the meaty bits. No pun intended. Miss Circle is the first teacher we see, and the first one who shows a student what the consequences are for having dyscalculia. Let's look at her face. Notice her sharp teeth and her narrow curved eyes. These are a theme for the teachers and the antagonists of FPE. Teachers have this theme of having an appendage or cosmetic that matches the subject they teach. For example, Miss Bloomy, the science teacher, has a scalpel. Teachers also have this theme of having big black claws instead of the normal hands that the students have. Now the shoes. Look at those shoes. Remember what I said about loose clothing? This can also apply to shoes like high tops and, here, boots. Another thing to note is the height difference. This is gonna crack your worldview right open. For example, ABBIE is most likely 5 foot. There is nothing really saying. Probably a bit more, maybe a little bit less. Get this. Miss Circle is 9.7 feet tall. So, that's horrifying.
You are really going to regret that one.
The characters I had shown you were about as bare bones as you can get. But if you want a bit of pop to your character, there are some things you should note. Some characters could be a mostly solid color, or have some hint of color. Maybe you want different proportions? Well, there's the obvious masculine shape with broad shoulders and feminine shape with soft shoulders. But there's also a blocky body with lines. And note how it also has the OC staple of wings, a tail, and a bonus collar. All it's missing is the absolutely eye-shattering rainbows. That's it for today's lesson. I hope you took notes because this will be on the test. Don't fail, or else. Thanks for watching, and happy drawing.